I want to introduce the Director of Government Sales and Programs with IT1. Ian Dunnington is going to start us off. And without further ado, Ian, if you'd like to take over.
Great, thanks very much. So thanks for joining us. IT1 is a solutions aggregator in the corrections and public safety space, as well as the federal government, state and local government, and education, with also a footprint in healthcare. We've been doing this sort of work for over 20 years. We're highly certified. We've got lots of deep and wide OEM relationships. And what we do is we scan the environment for the best products that are out there that solve real world problems. One that's near and dear to my heart, which I've been in the corrections technology industry now for over 10 years, is really about reentry and recidivism reduction for corrections. This is more than just a passion. It's now it's something that we are going to do to achieve our vision. And that's why I'm brought here with Nucleos, my colleague from Nucleos, Noah. And you can see that we're really keyed in to how you can leverage technology to support not only education, Pell expansion, but also reduce recidivism and really provide a golden moment in time to people who are behind the wall and actually give them some hope. And that's what we want to do. So again, and I won't belabor this, our real focus is in delivering solutions. So I'm going to go over to Nucleos and Noah. So tell us a little bit about what makes you get up in the morning, Noah.
Yes, certainly. I mean, our goal is to really democratize access to high quality education and training. And our vision is that programs on the inside should be similar to what people are able to access on the outside. And so we've built our technology from the ground up to be able to realize that vision, to help administrators and teachers involved with agencies to help educate, rehabilitate, and track outcomes more effectively. And the benefits that we're working on for agencies, of course, are to lower recidivism, improve outcomes for learners, deepen insights, and save money.
Perfect. Thanks, Noah. He's actually really humble. He's a very intelligent man as well. So our shared vision together, Nucleos and IT1, is really to improve post-release outcomes, but it's really to help not only the justice involved, but that community that serves the justice involved. And that's, you guys are heroes. We thank you for what you're doing every day to make this happen. And, I look at public school systems, and I look at underfunding, and I look at lack of resources in the private, the outside world. And then I look at the inside the facilities, and I see an even greater need. And it's how do we actually solve that greater need? So what we see, and jump in, Noah, and you guys jump in as well, Michelle. And I'm sorry, I missed the let's see, Michelle and Samantha, Brianna, Rhea. Feel free to jump in. But this is what we actually see out there, is that you guys are forced with increasing access to high quality education programs. And that's only becoming more and more greater and greater as we go through this evolution. You're being forced to be accountable for where those dollars go, how they're being spent, and if there is efficacy. And it's a very detailed issue. And then you have multiple things that you have to track, multiple platforms, multiple sessions, multiple programs that are all coming out of that same budget. And ultimately, it's about keeping costs affordable. And we know that it's not an unlimited amount of money, and it seems to shrink some years, and then other years it goes back up again, and you're like, okay, how did that windfall come along? But it's as the funding ebbs and flows, how do we work with this, and how do we actually stay sustainable? What we also learned is that during COVID, we actually became very entrepreneurial in facilities, in corrections. And so before COVID, we really relied on physical classes, third-party operators coming in behind the walls, a lot of in-person that led to a lot of other things, you know, such as having to move the incarcerated into special areas, to move facilitators into special areas, to then have a guarded experience as well. But that led to limited capacity. And then during COVID, some things changed. We suddenly had to adapt, and we had to continue to provide programs. And in some instances, people actually got funding through COVID dollars to do certain things, and it changed their life, really. So now what we have is blended classes. We're seeing facilities actually do hybrid, where they have online, in-person, they have correspondence courses, they have virtual learning salons, and they're really doing a lot more with technology. We're also seeing that the role of a teacher is changing. They used to literally just be a teacher, and that's it. And now what we're seeing is that they are having to be almost like a consultant, a facilitator, and a teacher all in one, and an administrator. And they're having to really navigate all this new technology. They're having to navigate all the different systems, and they are becoming technical. They're becoming facilitators. They're becoming counselors, et cetera. So much bigger role than they were. What we're also seeing is that because of the technology, people are able to do more with less, which is a problem, and it's good and it's bad. So it means that you're able to do more with less, which means that you've got to do more with less, which then sort of blocks that capacity for additional staff, as you well know. So, you know, what we basically do to help our customers, but what we're seeing how anyone has to do this, is that they have to have really good content, whether that is content that they deliver in person with an instructor, facilitator, or virtually online. And in order to deliver that content in a correctional environment, you need to have a software platform, and that just has to exist. There's millions of software platforms that could exist, but not all work in corrections, as we well know. And then you got to have hardware, and we have hardware. We've got it. We've had it for 10 years. We bought it. We got to use it. We've got new hardware needs. We've got emerging hardware that's being forced upon us. We're getting donated hardware. How do we work with all of this disparate hardware? And then ultimately, we have to rely on IT services departments within our facilities, within the state, within the community, who validate everything and make sure that it all works to their standards and actually gets it done for us. And so it looks simple, 4 little blocks. Each one is as complex as the next. And then if you look at your goals, and this is just in talking to, gosh, no, it's probably been thousands of people over the past 12 months. You know, everyone is doing at least the following 4 things, which is they've got to improve education outcomes. No longer are they allowed to be just called a corrections division or a punitive function. They've got to be about rehabilitation, reentry, and really about that all-important reduction of recidivism. The other thing that we're seeing, obviously, is that it has to be the utmost secure solution, and that's paramount, as we all know why. But it has to be secure, and that's really for every single organization throughout our country. You've got to have a secure platform nowadays. It's called Zero Trust, and it probably started in corrections where we had zero trust, and then we have to build trust. We have to also increase administrative and process efficiency, because the administration, the bureaucracy always demands being fed. And in being fed, it means data, actionable intelligence. It means proof of the solutions that we're investing in. And it really requires us to be more judicious about how we spend our time, how do we weigh the administrative versus the actual implementation of programs and doing the job? And then it's ultimately about how do we find money for this? Our population for incarceration has gone down. We're lucky. That is a good thing. But that actually was part of the trigger for certain funding levels. And so as that goes down, funding levels reduce for a number of reasons, but we still have the job to do. And so how do we cover our costs? How do we reduce our costs, but still maintain the institutional knowledge, the facilitators and teachers that we have in our system, and how do we grow and work together as that team in this new world? So that brings us into Pell. And the really amazing thing is with Second Chance Pell being, first of all, the pilot program, and then the Obama administration approving this, and then actually it was being ratified by the last administration and then continuing through to the current administration. 463,000, 500,000 Pell Grant eligible incarcerated people, which literally means that they can access the funds that they would have had on the outside to do programs that are eligible on the inside. Some of the aha moments that we know that exist out there is that this is going to require at least 4 work streams to be developed by a facility, by a college or university in partnership with one another. And the one thing is it's about creating a program or using any existing programs and conforming to the requirements that are within correctional Pell, which is it must lead to some kind of career that is eligible for an incarcerated person to perform once released. And then secondarily, they need to be able to go to an accredited institution in their state or available in their state. And so the second thing is it's about institutional accrediting approval, which is a secondary issue, which means the institution may already have this, but then they need to get their courses that they've modified reapproved for credit through the system. And credit is obviously a crucial element of this because of that inside out applicability. The third thing is, of course, you can't do this in isolation. A university college, community college cannot just create stuff and then say, here it is. It needs to be approved by the correctional facilities, the FBOP, the state, etc. They need to approve those courses as well, which may be just a checkbox, but it will be a process. And then finally, because it's involving federal funds, it has to have education department approval. But that also comes with reporting requirements. It comes with potentially unannounced visit requirements and so forth, so that they manage the programs that will be in place. And these are all the things that they've learned from things like Trump University and having to refund millions, it's actually billions of dollars because of Corinthian College and all the rest of it. So it's a highly managed program. They don't want to just throw this money away. One of the questions we get, and we'll answer questions in a minute, but one of the questions we often get is, can the facility have this money? And the reality is the facility is jointly owned by the student and the university college, community college. So because of the university college or facility, the accredited university college or community college is providing those classes, they have access to that funding through their financial aid office. And then the student is the recipient of that, and it's going directly into their account at the university college or community college or program. So that's a key thing. This is not going to be a moneymaker for the facility. What it will be, though, is an enhancement to the ability to provide programs of an efficacious manner that does have inside-out ability. So that's a key thing to remember. What's going to happen is that this is going to support the in-state colleges. They're going to come knocking on correctional facility doors, whether that is state agencies. They're probably going to go to the states first, quite frankly, because they're bigger. They probably have more pull. Then they're going to go to the county agencies that exist, the larger ones. You think about the larger ones like the Maricopas, the LA County, San Francisco County, etc., San Diego County. They'll probably be going there then, and they will need to integrate with whatever's going on to be able to access this. What they're finding is that it needs to be an expandable platform, and what that means is whatever platform that is being utilized, it can't just work with one institution that works on the outside. Each one of these colleges, universities, community colleges, and even the K through 12 and secondary education, they have their own systems. They have their own structure for delivery of courses. And that really provides an issue to corrections. Suddenly they have to integrate. They're being told they have to do this integration. And now they have to make their classrooms compatible with all these different third-party organizations. What we're also seeing is that as a component of a university class and any secondary, post-secondary education, it's actually moving to a virtual classroom, blended learning, and then video, so that the individual that's learning is not being quote unquote shortchanged. This is going on in actually all higher education. So my MBA degree took me 2 years, and it was 50% online, virtual, and 50% in person. Now that's absolutely completely changed. That program is now 100% online. There's no in person. So it is going, and it's blended because you're able to do Zoom, you're able to do chat boards, you're able to do document sharing, presentations, etc., all the things that you would do in a normal university class. You have to use the same technology that's being used on the outside for a number of reasons. And it's at least familiarization with that technology. It might not be exactly the same, but it'll be the same sort of concepts. And that could be a desktop with a keyboard. It could be a laptop with a keyboard. It certainly will have, the functionality that we're used to in a corporate or government environment to actually get our jobs done, because you can't just do some of these courses on a simple tablet. It's too involved. You can't write an essay on your iPhone. Don't do it. It doesn't work. You need to be able to actually leverage what's going on in your environment to connect people with a career pathway. And that was really one of the essences of Pell. If we're giving the classes to folks, it's actually about having them have a pathway beyond incarceration. And that absolutely is the best way to go. And it's about, again, providing Pell ultimately to your population, to your students, for credit-bearing CTE that can be leveraged on the outside once released. And we were just, again, I was just in Cleveland with a reentry program that was leveraging actually educational grants and truly seeing the efficacy of individuals that were involved in education and how they were not returning to prison or jail because they were engaged, because they were involved, and they actually had career opportunities. And I think that's the biggest thing. So anyway, I'm getting ready to move it over to Noah so that he can tell us about what we actually have built that satisfies some of the requirements that we've talked about. But alternative sources of funding are out there also. And I'm going to tell you, one of the biggest unused resources is the Department of Justice. So there's a couple of areas out there, the FBCI, which has reentry services, community-based services, can actually fund a lot of this. So if you have, for instance, halfway houses, reentry facilities, work release, they have funding for those kinds of education programs. And then the Bureau of Justice Assistance, they have grants that come up generally in February, March, April each year. And they are in ranges from $25,000 up to many hundreds of thousands of dollars, various grants that come up again for education. SAMHSA is one that we just found out about recently, which being in Arizona, a lot of tribes around here. There's a substance abuse prevention program with, again, hundreds of thousands of dollars available. Not-for-profit foundations. One of the most active is the Robert Wood Johnson. And I just found another one that was really interesting, which is the VA. So the VA was not really funding anyone who's incarcerated. They sort of cut off those GI Bill benefits. But now what they're doing is they're providing funding for, again, residents in reentry centers or work release. So there's another pool of money there that they can get access to. We ourselves provide reentry-as-a-service solutions, so you can pay a stable MRC or monthly recurring cost versus a big upfront cost to do all the hardware, the software, the integrations, all of that can just be spread over a monthly recurring cost. And then finally, you can actually work with us to perform a grant search. We'll do a grant search. We can help you with all of the identification of those grants. And we can work with a third party that can provide you help with producing a skeleton, if you will, which would be something that you would then fill in. Unfortunately, we don't write grants, but we do a lot of proposals. We're trying to increase education outcomes. We need to have good security, and we need to have administrative efficiency. And what Noah is going to do is he's going to take us through how we actually have really good software that can help increase and improve a learner's outcomes. He's going to take us through a demo, which he will then talk a little bit about our security. And then finally, he's going to talk about the administration of the system and how we can actually improve the workload of your staff and make that a more viable, long-term and sustainable goal for you. And then I'm going to literally turn it over to you, Noah.
Well, certainly glad to go through everything, and we've got a great group of folks joining us today. So glad to see people from, it looks like, Arizona, Kern County, and the Vera Institute, which is, of course, one of the leaders in advocating for expanded education and training opportunities. So I have a couple things I want to share today. And I'll just go through a quick overview of some of the features in the platform. Got a couple quick videos to share. And then we could open things up and go into any questions, or back to Ian for anything else he wants to cover. So we'll just start by going over a few of the platform features with Nucleos and how it provides one platform that can manage all of the different education and applications that people might want to use. So Nucleos puts users directly into online programs while aggregating them into one system. This is showing a screenshot from Coursera, one of the partners we've been working with, that has a lot of high quality IT certificates, job training, and general interest college and academic program courses, all created from some of the leading universities in the country. All of these programs are brought into one portal by Nucleos, and we do a lot of the IT work that goes into securing them and integrating them. So it goes from from a scenario where you have many different siloed applications that don't necessarily communicate with each other and have different accounts and different management and reporting, to one system where you have one login, one set of accounts to manage, and all progress and learning certificates are tracked and reported. And so these learning records can be used for parole, transition, and even for people going into employment. Our system is recording usage history. It can have goal tracking. It's also recording learning progress from in these different applications themselves. For administrative staff, we do a lot of the filtering and securing work to, say, analyze messages going back and forth on platforms to allow different agency staff to be able to enable messaging and learning management systems with instructors or education providers. So, jumping ahead here, I want to go over to some of the different pieces that we're doing. And so these are just some of the technical pieces. I'll touch on them. We do authentication, which is single sign-on. We do authorization, which is controlling who has access to which programs. We do the user management. So we'll create the user accounts automatically for students in these different education programs based on the groups that they're in. We collect the data from all of these different education programs and bring them onto one learning record. And we do all of that security filtering as well. So everything that we're doing comes into one platform.
One of the key things is, you'll have all of this content already, but we also provide content if you need it. So it's really about the academics, vocational education. So we have an access to a lot of vocational training and education, social and emotional wellness and reentry programs. But it's really about coalescing all of those into a single platform that you can manage easily. And that's what we do. If you look at the relationships that we have built over time, it's really in the academic area. It covers all of the high points. We've got some very exciting news coming up with a partnership with a major university that's nationwide. So stay tuned. As far as vocational, this is huge too, which has a huge amount of applicability for people who are justice involved and then re-entering society. There's a lot of plethora of jobs out there in the trades that could potentially benefit them and be high paying. Social and emotional wellness content, near and dear to my heart, helping people to actually behave better within the walls, but also to be a better parent, a better contributor outside, and really overcome all of the trauma, quite frankly, that they've had to experience before they were incarcerated and while they're incarcerated, and then be better as they get out, but also to be ready to work with others. And then reentry content. You have your own reentry content, you're building it, we can integrate with it, and that's what we love to do, but we also have additional reentry programs that we can access. So if you think about really the elements of what you're going to need to do to deliver a technology solution, it's really about having some kind of secure system to be able to deliver the content that you can rely on, that is penetration tested, that has third-party penetration testing going on constantly to make sure that there's no accessibility for it. It's about actually setting that up to have a wide area network, a broadband connection with adequate resources to deliver content within your facility. And then ultimately, the next thing you're going to run into is needing to deliver this to either classrooms or within housing units, within the pod even, and actually having a local area network to access the content, however that may be, and it's complex. IT1 is doing those elements in partnership with Nucleos. We can deliver all of these things for you. And then ultimately, what are you going to have to access the content on? It's going to be hardware. So this is what we're seeing, is people deploying tablets and then actually having tablets. But we're now used to tablets. I sold some of the first tablets that were in existence in corrections and knew how difficult it was for people to adapt to, but now it's ubiquitous. We also see that people have a lot of Chromebooks already deployed. They have PCs deployed. they had the money, then they deployed it and put it into their computer labs. We want to be able to access that and use that technology, but actually manage it in a more efficient way and put everything on a secure platform that it will work with, that's actually closed. It's like a containerized solution. And then ultimately you have to think about how to store these devices, how to charge the devices in a secure way, and actually have something that's rapid charging that can be reliable. So these are some of the elements that we also provide, is the full infrastructure and all the hardware that goes along with this. But you may already have the hardware that you need, and we can actually take that and make it work with what we have. And then it would be, disingenuous really to not thank all of the partners that we have. And we've been working with all of these partners since our inception, both with Nucleos and IT1, to deliver good content. Quite frankly, some of it is free of charge, and it comes with the platform free of charge, such as Khan Academy, Canvas, Coursera, just to name a few. And we have agreements with all of these if you need to actually access content. So we're really excited about these partnerships, and this is actually just a sampling, not all of them. One that's of interest, actually up in the top right there, Hoopla. We're actually working with them for library access. So in your counties, in your states, you have a great resource. It's the public library. But you can't have a public library in your facility. Well, we've created a solution where we bring the public library in a corrections-friendly format so that people can access what they were able to access as a civilian. And then what really guides us? What are our guiding principles? And it's really about, we don't charge the incarcerated for the service. So unfortunately, it's not going to be a free ride for the facility or the state or the county. The network that we provide can be used for other services. So that's a huge thing, which means that we're not going to dictate what you use the network for. We'll have enough bandwidth for everyone to use it. The other thing is that we bring to the table is this works on any device. So we can actually secure and create a custom secure device out of whatever hardware you have. And then the other thing is that we provide content, or you can bring your own, and we make it very easy for you to bring your own. And that's a huge differentiator for us. And it makes it much easier and much more pleasant to work with you. The other thing is that we found is that we don't bring you an LMS that you have to work with. We'll work with any LMS. And then the other thing is, again, we're flexible on how we find funding for this, and we'll work with you to find that funding. And really, ultimately, we'd love to work with you, and we'd love to understand your challenges, consult with you, become a partner with you, and actually help you to develop a plan for implementing technology or improving technology, and ultimately preserving what you have and then having better outcomes. Noah, any final thoughts before we turn it over to our attendees?
I think that's been a really thorough overview, Ian. I don't have anything to add. Would be happy to go into any questions.
So over to you, Elizabeth. Do we have any questions that you wanted to share that we got in the session?
Yeah, great question. Thank you again, Ian and Noah. That was so helpful to understand more of the background. So I know that, Noah, you were able to answer this, and unfortunately, Michelle had to drop a little early, but just so everyone is still seeing this, do funds help with obtaining high school diploma or a GED? Or does it focus on college level academics? And that is what she asked. So Noah, if you don't mind, I know you answered that. Can you please answer that for the group here?
Yeah, I can actually answer it quickly. So unfortunately, it doesn't cover high school or GED. What it does cover is a 2-year to 4-year to advanced degree Obviously, you can't do that without sequencing appropriately, but it does need to go to post-secondary.
Excellent. All right, and that was the only question that came in previously. If there are any other questions, all feel free to unmute yourself, put yourself on video if you feel comfortable. We're happy to go ahead and answer any questions that you might have.
I have a quick one, if you don't mind. Hi, I'm Samantha from the Beer Institute of Justice. I put that in the chat too, you might have seen, but I just wanted to learn more first about the nature of IT1 and Nucleos' relationship in this space. Do your organizations always partner to deliver services, or do you ever do, service delivery separately? Just more wanting to learn about the nature of the partnership.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, what we do as our, we're a 20-year-old company. Nucleos is a younger not startup, they've been around for a few years now, but we're helping them with our expertise. We do get involved if we need to do integrations, networking, but there are instances where all the customer needs, because they're sophisticated, they just need a platform, and we can work with them as well. So it's, we're doing more than just a partner. We are an investor, partner, mentor. We're completely committed to the success of Nucleos. Yeah, anything to add there, Noah?
Typically, we have a hardware and a software component to most implementations. So Nucleos provides the platform, and IT1 is the vendor that we work with to provide, fair priced hardware from leading providers such as Lenovo, and also facilitate network installations, purchasing, and order fulfillment.
Yeah. Samantha, I'd like to position this in the following way. As a solutions aggregator, and we do this for a number of software platforms throughout the nation, Microsoft does not do any of their own work, basically. We're a Microsoft Gold level partner solutions facilitator, and we implement all the Microsoft solutions. ServiceNow is another company. Zoom is one of our our OEMs that we do implementations for. So it just is, we're a systems integrator, if you will. So we help customers to make a decision, have buying vehicles. So we also have contract vehicles as a result of our 20 years. So we're on multiple buying vehicles that allow state and local and federal customers to be able to access all sorts of software and hardware very readily, quite frankly, and again, very cheaply compared to our competitors. Any other questions?
Think more about your GED classes.
Absolutely. So Noah, let's.
I'm sorry, I was asking Noah.
Yeah, I was going to say Noah. I was going to pass you over to Noah.
Yeah, the GED provider we've been recommending is Essential Education. So they have GED prep courses. They have a variety of courses that are also kind of the gap between finishing that GED and college readiness, and also different social and emotional wellness skills. They also provide courses for TABE and TASK. So they're one that we've been working with a lot. We also work with other providers. So Essential Ed would be GED prep. If some districts are also looking for solutions where there's actually granting a high school diploma, or what's sometimes called high school credit recovery. And we work with Edmentum and Edgenuity as two of the providers in that space. There's another one that we've been posing as well, Silicon Valley High School. So we have a few different options there.
And Bea, we also work with local school districts that are providing services to facilities. So for instance, 5 Keys We're doing work with an agency up in Northern California that's an adult education GED high school provider. I'm going back to essential ed. Why we like that is that was specifically designed for an adult learner that's going after GED, which was very appealing to us as we partner together.
So then you could put this platform and information on the tablets that we already have in place?
That
Or we have to
is,
get your tablets and start have a whole other tablet.
you know, we would love to integrate with any provider in the world is our answer. We would love to, and we could. There's an avenue to do that. The issue is that when you have a for-profit tablet provider, typically they have other goals in mind for that tablet. So it is a revenue generator, and this becomes a drag on the revenue projections that they put in place to actually put a tablet solution in place. You know, it's all about time and money. So the more time that's spent on the device, the more money they make, because it's a paid program. There is some free on there, but that's generally limited and lower quality. Again, and your provider, for the most part, it's either going to be one or the other. We're in talks with the one that begins with S, not the one that begins. Yeah, we're in talks with them right now. So, and they're very open. I know all of their leadership. So does Noah. They really would like to work with us. So they're more open. Let's put it that way.
That's great to hear, because that's the big hurdle. So
yeah, and so their parent company, Eventive, is they've got new ownership, new leadership. Former IBMer is in charge of that company. They've got all new people at the top, and they really want to change the model that they're going after so that they can do better in the marketplace, if you will.
great, thank you.
It was great talking to you all, guys, and I really appreciate the opportunity to again share with you what we're doing. We're passionate about what we're creating.